Next on the news.
I made a decision that when he's gonna be back, I'm gonna enroll him here.
A mother and son escaping the war in Ukraine find refuge at a Brooklyn Catholic school. Catholics hoping the Blessed Mother can intervene. Pope Francis plans to consecrate Russia and Ukraine to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Then this.
It's a great day for the parade, huh?
St. Patrick's Day back on Fifth Avenue. Bishop Robert Brennan leading the celebration at New York City's cathedral. Plus, a look at a favorite pastime over on the Emerald Isle, football, done the Gaelic way. I'm Christine Persichetti. This special edition of Currents News starts right now. Another week of constant attacks in Ukraine. Refugees and the displaced have now passed the 5 million mark as Russia encircles cities, sending people running for their lives. But we have the story of one mother and son who made it to safety. They came to the Diocese of Brooklyn to pick up the pieces and start over. Currents News' Jessica Easthope tells us the first step, enrolling at St. Athanasius Catholic Academy.
For fifth graders at St. Athanasius Catholic Academy, it's just another day. Science and math problems.
Yes.
But 11-year-old Theodore Gay-Nuland's problems have gone far beyond this classroom.
Yeah, I'm afraid of the war, Russia. It's dangerous. And I scared there was boom, and I was scared.
This time, 2 weeks ago, Theodore was walking with his mom, Ellen, and thousands of other Ukrainians through endless villages along the western border, hoping to make it safely to Poland, not knowing what the future would hold.
All schools broken, a home broken, and Ukrainian people are dying.
I was afraid. Nobody knows what's gonna happen, like next minute, next hour.
With just the clothes on their backs and one bag for both of them, Ellen and Theodore walked nearly 15 miles from Lviv to the border. Ellen, who lived in Brooklyn for 17 years, had one dream for her son. That vision kept her feet moving.
I made a decision that when he's gonna be back, I'm gonna enroll him here. And my friend asked me, what school? And I said, this nice Catholic school.
St. Athanasius principal Diane Compitello says the school has welcomed Theodore with open arms.
How do you say no? God sent them here. If we say we're for everybody's kids, that's who we are.
Knowing that Theodore and Ellen have been through a lifetime of trauma, their new school and new church want to make their home in Brooklyn a safe haven.
We offer them hope in the midst of such conflict. We offer them probably the greatest gift, God's love, which I'm sure they need very much right now.
Please check your work.
For now, Theodore says he's excited to be living the life of a normal fifth grader, far away from the terrors of war. Here, he's happy for it to be just another day. In Bensonhurst, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
St. Athanasius isn't the only school supporting refugees. Students at St. Luke's Catholic School in Whitestone are also doing what they can. They dressed in yellow and blue in solidarity and as part of a Dress Down fundraiser. Their hands also got to work for the cause, creating a giant sunflower featuring individual prayers for peace. Plus, smaller sunflowers they hung in classroom windows. It didn't stop there. Students and their families also collected basic necessities that the school will send to Ukraine. And here's another one. St. Adalbert's Parish in Elmhurst has already raised thousands for the cause. Parishioners donating $14,000 for Ukrainians in need, $10,000 collected during masses, and more than $4,000 donated online. That money will be heading to the Franciscan friars who are serving refugees in Ukraine and on its borders. We'll get an inside look at the Franciscans' efforts in just a bit. A friar shows us around his parish in Lviv that's providing shelter for refugees. Again, that's coming up on Currents News. The Irish once again dancing a happy jig. St. Patrick's Parade making its big return to Fifth Avenue. Performers, cultural groups, and first responders marched in full force for the first time since the pandemic began. The celebration of the patron saint of Ireland started, as it always does, with Mass at St. Patrick's Cathedral, celebrated this year by Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan. Here again is Currents News' Jessica Easthope.
The pipes and drums have a deeper purpose. And what the green symbolizes is rooted in faith. Diocese of Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan said everyone celebrating in style on Fifth Avenue has the power to be like St. Patrick.
Parades are really, in the end, a literal expression of what you and I should be doing and are doing every single day, bringing our faith into the streets.
Before he was a saint, he was a slave, working in the fields in Ireland. He eventually escaped, but when the Irish people needed him, he returned as a priest, bringing with him a foundation of faith that became part of his legacy as a great evangelizer.
He learned the language. He took in the culture. He became one of them.
This year's St. Patrick's Day parade coming almost 2 years to the day since New York City shut down because of the coronavirus. Marching front and center was Mayor Eric Adams, who this week encouraged all Irish-American New Yorkers to honor their heritage loud and proud.
Building the Brooklyn Bridge, our MTA system, law enforcement. You look at the success of New York, you see the Irish contribution to it, and you should be proud to be Irish today.
Though people celebrate and wear green today, there's a lot to be learned from St. Patrick every day. Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
You can watch Bishop Brennan's full homily on our website, currentsny.tv. A special group strolled down Fifth Avenue once again this year, Xaverian High School's Pipes and Drums. The group is the official pipe band for New York City Council, and if you look closely at their uniform, you can see a memorial patch. That's for their former principal and the founder of the band, Thomas Grenham. The beloved Irish Clipper passed 2 years ago. The Pipers dedicated this year's march to him. Now to an incredible story out of Ireland. We look back at one of the miracles at Knock, a woman who was cured of MS after visiting the Marian shrine there. It was the first officially recognized healing since an apparition was witnessed there in the 1800s. Susan Gately has the story.
Marian Carroll makes dinner for her husband, a simple task, but something truly miraculous for a woman who had multiple sclerosis for 17 years.
I was completely paralysed, I had no power in both of my legs. I was really just like a baby in a pram. I had to be washed, fed, changed and moved.
I had to do everything. She was confined to bed. The last 3 years she was totally paralysed.
There was no cure. And I didn't ask for a cure because I wouldn't challenge him in that way. I knew he loved me. I mean, I had everything in life. I had a fantastic marriage and 2 wonderful children.
The day Marian Carroll went to Knock in 1989, she and her family believed she was dying. She was brought into the basilica on a stretcher and placed right under the statue of Our Lady.
But it was when my bishop came down with the Blessed Eucharist and the monstrance for the blessed of the sick, and he came up front of the stretcher and he held it up and he blessed me. It was at that time that I got this beautiful feeling, a magnificent feeling, and like a whispery breeze telling me that if the stretcher was open that I could get up and walk.
After the Mass, Marian asked to help her to open the stretcher.
But when she opened the stretcher, my 2 legs swung out and I stood up straight. I wasn't even a bit stiff after all them years. It was Sister Antonia noticed I was holding my head myself without the collar, that I was using my arms and hands, and that my speech was perfect. But when I stood up in Knock Shrine, it had nothing to do with walking or moving. Just right in front of me, I seen my own heart, and it was so full of joy and peace.
Back in Athlone, Marian had the great joy of breaking the news to Jimmy.
When we came in here to sitting round, Jimmy sat here over at the patio doors and the wheelchair was in the centre of the room, and I stood up and said, "Look, Jim, I can walk." He said, "Oh God, Mary," said, don't. And I went over and I put my arms around him. I've never seen a man crying like him. And he got down on his knees and he started thanking the Lord.
It blew me away, you know. I just couldn't believe it, to see her standing there after such a long time. And, you know, for a long time after that we thought we were dreaming, imagining, you know, that this really happened.
I've never looked back physically or spiritually since that day. And I really had a great life planned for myself, but then the Lord decided different and he gave me my ministries. I have a ministry of healing, but I cannot heal. No one can heal, only Jesus, he's the healer. That when I pray with them, I'm just giving out the prescription, but he's the doctor.
Again, that was Susan Gately reporting. In 2019, the Catholic Church in Ireland confirmed the miracle. There's a lot more news headed your way. Ukrainian protesters face off against Russian forces, how an American citizen was caught in the crossfire, and providing food, medicine, and shelter to the people of Ukraine. An inside look at a group of friars on the front lines. Plus this.
We're all God's children, and so we should all do what we can to help.
Why one girl from Nashville hopes to capture the beauty of Ukraine on paper.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
It has officially been 4 weeks since Russia invaded Ukraine, and the toll on human life has been devastating. As Jessica Easthope reports, an American citizen is just one of the latest victims.
Gunshots and blasts thunder through the streets of Skadovsk. Ukrainian citizens protesting the detention of their mayor face off against Russian forces.
This is a terror tactic. Grab local officials, depose local governments. They're also likely to systematically kidnap local officials and replace them with puppets. Again, this has already begun. The mayor of Melitopol was grabbed off the street several days ago, released yesterday in a prisoner exchange. The mayor of another city in southern Ukraine was also kidnapped. He hasn't yet been let go.
The United States State Department confirming an American citizen has been killed by Russian shelling in Cherniv. The advisor to Ukraine's interior minister identified the victim as 67-year-old James Whitney Hill from Minnesota. Hill was among several people killed when Russian artillery opened fire on civilians.
We don't know where my brother's body is. That kind of closure the family won't have right now.
Now, after U.S. intelligence reports China is showing openness to aid Russia in their invasion of Ukraine, President Biden is now set to speak with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday.
This is a conversation about where President Xi stands. It's up to the Chinese to decide where they want to stand, where they want to be as the history books are written.
Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
In the meantime, the United Nations has declared the mass exodus out of Ukraine as the largest refugee crisis in Europe since the end of World War II. Most of those fleeing are heading into Poland. The clergy is on the front lines of the relief effort there, providing food and accommodations for hundreds of thousands of refugees. And while most Ukrainians are Orthodox Christian, the priests say it is their God-given duty to help people of all faiths.
There are many priests working here, and when it comes to helping people, they don't think about religion. As Pope Francis says, every person is important regardless of their religion.
Caritas Poland has created tents of hope in several Polish border towns where everyone can warm up, eat, and drink tea. Catholic Relief Services has also been pitching in, preparing a cash assistance program to reach an estimated 300,000 households. Poland does not have any refugee camps. Each person that fled Ukraine is staying with a family or an organization. Now to that inside look at the Franciscan Friars war effort. They're currently in Ukraine, helping people find shelter and providing dwindling essentials like food and medicine.
Слава Ісусу Христу! Мене звати Микола Орач, я є францисканцем, працюю в Римо-католицькій церкві в парафії Святого Антонія тут у Львові. Маємо невеличкий будинок, який може приймати кільканадцять осіб, і цей будинок зараз працює на біженців. Є можливість тут поїсти в цьому приміщенні, можна переночувати, помитись, туалети, душові. Маємо кілька кімнаток, які також використовуємо для біженців. Зазвичай під вечір вони всі вже є повні.
Приїхали і нас тут зустріли, розмістили, накормили, напоїли, обігріли, хоча нас і їсти нам навіть не хотілося після таких
перший або другий день я приїхала сюди, бо знала, що тут будуть приймати біженців. І вирішила їм допомогти. Зокрема, тут вікна допомогти облаштувати. Про центр опіки сиріт я вже знаю давно. Я давно волонтерю саме в цьому центрі.
Мав в нашому домі милосердя, діяв дошкільний простір Ангелики, де перебували діти, навчалися, виховувалися. В стінах цього дому довелося зробити з нуля кухню, облаштувати бомбосховище. Люди можуть помитися, можуть попрати свої речі. Маємо близько 20 біженців, це і матері з дітьми.
Що ви зробите перше, коли Україна переможе?
Я казала, я розвішу візді прапори, наверное, по всьому домі. І буду цілувати, говорю, рідну землю.
Євросоюзу, громадяни країн європейських повинні побачити і зрозуміти, що те, чим вони живуть, можливо, цього зараз недоцінюють, але має надзвичайно велику цінність. І наші люди тут в Україні, і наші військові платять за це платять своїм життям.
When asked how many more refugees the Franciscans could help, one Polish friar responded, "All our houses are ready, all friaries are opened for them." And it's not just clergy who are on a mission. The International Pilgrim Virgin statue of Fatima has made its way to the city of Lviv with a message of peace. The statue comes at the request of the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church's leader, who hopes to ask for intercession for protection and peace. In addition to daily prayers, the Shrine of Fatima has offered financial assistance to the Eastern European country and is providing refuge to 35 displaced Ukrainians. The statue's arrival comes as Pope Francis invites bishops from around the world to join him in consecrating Russia and Ukraine to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. On March 25th, Pope Francis will lead the ceremony during a prayer service in St. Peter's Basilica. And on that same day, Cardinal Konrad Krajewski, the papal almoner, will carry out a similar consecration at the statue's home, the Shrine of Our Lady of Fatima in Portugal. Turning now to an American teen who is painting with a purpose. 14-year-old Ella Bramlett capturing the beauty and history of Ukraine's top cities, all while raising money to help the people there who may now be searching for a new place to call home. Claire Kopsky has her story from Nashville.
To say 14-year-old Ella Bramlett is talented is an understatement.
I've been painting my whole life.
She and her brothers also played the violin at places like the Ryman, the Skirmerhorn, and the Grand Ole Opry.
The arts is very much in my family.
2 years ago, she started leaning into her artistic talent, selling her artwork.
I've tried a bunch of different mediums and everything, and I don't know, I feel like watercolor has just been the one that I've connected with most.
Up until a few weeks ago, her work had been a way to express herself. But then as the conflict in Ukraine started, her work quickly became about others.
We were all watching the news together, and I'm always painting when I'm watching TV, so we were like witnessing Kyiv being bombed, and it's heartbreaking to think about. I looked up a few pictures of Kyiv and just started painting it.
Within a few days, Ella painted 2 Ukrainian cities, Kyiv and Kharkiv. While we were visiting with her, she painted another one, Mariupol.
Those are 2 others that have been really influenced by all the bombing and stuff, and those are 2 of the other hardest hit cities.
Ella started selling her prints of Ukraine cityscapes on her social media pages, donated 100% of the profits to Sea Star Kids and Eastern European missions.
It's something that concerns everyone because we're all people and we're all God's children, and so we should all do what we can to help.
For her, that's painting cities that may no longer be the cities its people remember. In Nashville, Claire Kopsky.
You can see more of Ella's paintings and even have the chance to buy them online. Just search for Ella Bramlett Designs on Facebook. Still to come on Currents News, a new Fordham University sport with old ties to the Emerald Isle. Football, but make it Irish. Continuing our celebration of Irish culture and pride this weekend, we thought we would take a look at a favorite pastime both here and on the Emerald Isle, football, though this version is a little different than the American one. The team at Fordham University explains.
When I run out onto the field, I feel a lot of energy. I'm ready to compete.
Gaelic football is a mixture of soccer, basketball and rugby.
We use a ball that looks like a soccer ball, but it's the rules of hurling.
There is a soccer-like goal with 2 goalposts extending out either side of it.
You need speed, hand-eye coordination, and you also need to be able to work as a team.
The team connects us to Irish culture because the GAA in Ireland has always been a really important way for Irish people to assert their culture and their community, even when they haven't been able to do so politically or socially.
It's a huge honour to be able to bring Gaelic football over to New York and to spread awareness for it and to keep that passion alive and growing every single day.
The movement in Gaelic football is really unique. There are 3 ways to move the ball. You can solo it up the field yourself. You can do what's called a hand pass, in which you kind of hit it almost like a volleyball to another one of your players. Or you can do a kick pass, which is exactly what it sounds like. You kick the ball forward to one of your teammates.
Many years ago, a lot of people had to flee Ireland and move to America in order to create a better life for themselves and just have a better life for not only themselves but also for their family.
Fordham was founded by Archbishop John Hughes, who is from Ireland, and he founded the university as a place for immigrants and children of immigrants, people who are Catholic, to have a place to be educated. So the fact that we're kind of carrying on that Irish legacy and still having a space for Irish people at Fordham to express their culture and their community is definitely a way to honor Archbishop Hughes' memory.
The Gaelic Society started the football team this year, and they practice twice a week in the Bronx. One day, they hope to compete against other schools like Notre Dame, UConn, Navy, and more. But they need your help to do that. To support the Gaelic football team, just visit givecampus.com and search Fordham University. You'll see a link to donate directly to the team. And that does it for this special edition of Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Before we go, we'd like to leave you with Pope Francis's prayer for peace in Ukraine. Hope to see you again next time.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, nel dolore di questa guerra, facciamo una preghiera tutti insieme. Perdonaci la guerra, Signore. Signore Gesù Cristo, Figlio di Dio, abbi misericordia di noi peccatori. Se continuiamo ad uccidere nostro fratello, perdonaci se continuiamo come Caino a togliere le pietre dal nostro campo per uccidere Abele. Perdonaci se continuiamo a giustificare con la nostra fatica la crudeltà, se con il nostro dolore legittimiamo l'efferatezza dei nostri gesti. Perdonaci la guerra, Signore. Perdonaci la guerra, Signore. Signore Gesù Cristo, Figlio di Dio, ti imploriamo, ferma la mano di Caino, illumina la nostra coscienza. Non sia fatta la nostra volontà, non abbandonarci al nostro agire. Fermaci, Signore, fermaci. E quando avrai fermato la mano di Caino, abbi cura anche di lui, il nostro fratello. Oh Signore, poni un freno alla violenza. Fermaci, Signore. Amen.